So at Kamehameha, did you know that there was athletic trainers?
I did know
Okay.
that there was. I want to say at the time, I mean, not everything's electronic. You know, like you submit physicals and whatnot, it's all electronic. You submit it on a portal, and there's not a whole lot of paper exchange. But back in the 80s, you know, everything was hard copy. So I know we had to submit paperwork to the school, and that's where they kept it. But I did know there was a facility. Cindy Clivio, who's there now, I think she started like my, I mean, not to date her, but you know, I think she started my sophomore year, maybe my freshman or sophomore year. But yeah, and she's a fixture. Yeah. She's one of my mentors, you know. So
yes, of course. So you've kind of seen, you know, the progression at Kamehameha Schools too, and come full circle, right? You're working at your alma mater, but even back then, you know, the facilities, the personnel, resources, all of that has grown a lot, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's get into, okay, now you took this Intro to Athletic Training course, right? Got interested, realized that, okay, maybe math isn't as interesting, but I still want to work with people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the common theme for most athletic trainers, is that you want to work around people, sports too, but you want to help them, you know, kind of behind the scenes or whatever that may be. So talk about, what was that transition like? After you took that course, and then now you got in contact with the program director, what was the transition like, I guess, coming from a whole different field or major? Now you're immersed into the grind of athletic training as a student. What was that like?
That was it. It was eye-opening, you know, I mean, because I was looking at the PE teacher route, which would have been, you know, your more traditional hours, summers off kind of thing, and then you dip into athletic training where it's quite the opposite. You know, it's afternoon hours. You know, it's in totally non-traditional hours. I guess taking that introductory course and it kind of came naturally. I don't know what I mean. I don't want to say it. You know, I'm far from an expert in the field. You know, but I'm always learning. But it was one thing that it wasn't hard to do well in that class. Of course, as you know, we took more. It got more challenging. You know, moving through the curriculum. But yeah, it was something that I really had a passion for when I got into the program. You know, there was an undergraduate program at the time. There was a good amount of us coming through the program, and there weren't that many positions open up. A lot of us were waiting for positions in the DOE. So I ended up staying on at UH, started a master's program. I started pursuing a master's, which I didn't finish, but it was more to kind of pass the time waiting for the school, the positions to open up in the schools. So I was a graduate assistant for the baseball team at the University of Hawaii, but just working in the training, immersing myself in that profession. I mean, I compare our experience to the young, you know, the newer cohorts coming through the program now. To an extent, they have it easy. You know, I mean, I think they really, we try to give them the full experience. You know, we have a couple of students at Kamehameha. Myself and Cindy and another one of our coworkers, Ben, we're preceptors. We all were kind of, you know, we're taught kind of old school athletic training where, you know, you scrubbing coolers, you know, you're there first, you leave last kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I didn't mind the hours. You ask my wife, it might be a different story, you know, because we were going out in college at the time, and being a GA for the baseball team, that was a full-time job in and of itself. I mean, it was, you know, 3-4 day series, you know, the weekends were kind of shot, and one spring hit, you know, I didn't see her a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, it was something I loved, and my wife knew that. My kids now, they understand that. It's just if you understand the grind of the profession, it's easy to immerse yourself. I mean,
and I think for, you know, you and a lot of people, it's the long hours, it's the grind, but then it's really what you're passionate about doing, helping the team, seeing them succeed, right? Getting people back from injuries, taking care of them. I think those are all things that, you know, when you look back, it makes it worth it, right? It's like, it's not, I mean, yes, long hours and all of that, but it's not something that you don't want to do. I think you would, you know, you could agree, you would probably rather do this than be a math teacher, right? So all of those things, it kind of, it's interesting how much work, especially, you know, in the beginning stages when you're just trying to work up to the level, wait for DOE positions to open and all of that. It is a grind. And it's funny, you know, we'll talk a little bit about this, but I've only heard stories, you know. I feel like I got it easy compared to what you guys went through. You know, like I do feel that, but at the same time, I feel that, you know, I got immersed into it too when I was at UH, and there's a lot of things that, you know, it was just kind of like, we'll do with your, you know, with some supervision and just go for it, right? And then I think those times, especially when you think about being the GA for baseball, right? It's you making all of you have support, but it's like that's your team that you got to take care of. I think when you get thrown into those situations, that's when you learn the most and grow the most, because there's no one else that you can rely on.
Exactly.
Right? So talk about that a little bit, I guess. Maybe your experiences or even experiences for aspiring athletic training students, right? How important was that for you and for other people? Like, just immerse yourself in everything, because if you don't see it, you don't get exposed. You can't really pick up these skills or gain that experience.
Totally. So that's what we tell a lot of the students that are coming through the program now. They have part-time jobs, and I get it. I mean, it's expensive to be a student now. When I was in college, UH was a bargain. I didn't graduate in 4 years. And I wasn't in a rush because it wasn't overly expensive. But I tell our students when they on their first day, like an orientation meeting with us, we say, you guys are going to get out of this what you put into it. I mean, it always seems that the days that our students are not there, something good happens. I mean, it's just the more exposure you have, obviously the more you're going to see. And that's how our hours were, when I was a student at UH, was right after our last class, like right after lunch. Sometimes we'd open at 7:30, I think, and we'd open through the morning. We didn't have the early morning. I think when under June Jones, I'm not sure what coach, they started some early morning practices. It was more for treatment. We'd open at 7:30 for treatment, and practices was still that traditional afternoon schedule. But I mean, it was the grind from like 1 o'clock till 7, 8 o'clock, and this is as a student. I mean, on top of that, you had your schoolwork, and the curriculum at the athletic training curriculum is never an easy one. But being able to immerse yourself is huge, and we try to help out our students as much as possible. I was fortunate when I had a part-time job, and then once it was a clinical hours. Just when I was a student, the requirements were, because it was an internship program, it was 1,500 hours over 2 years, and it seemed like a lot, but you work a season with UH football, and you get a chunk of that easily. It wasn't hard at all. And I think since then the hours have dropped, but I feel like students that come out of the program, they graduate from the program, they get their certification. I try to base. No one is fully ready to be on your own. I mean, I can speak for myself, but from personal experience, no one is really 100% ready. You're by yourself. Like, from my first position was at Wailua, and this is North Shore. Resources are
very sparse.
Very. And you don't have the luxury of a team physician like at UH. I mean, you gotta, you have parents that you gotta call, and they gotta transport the kid. You make the call as far as do we activate EMS, and a lot of times when in doubt, you're gonna punt. But again, such a rural community. Don't get me wrong, I loved it out there. It was a great experience, great families, great kids, tight knit community. But again, for that being my first job on your own out there, it was. You learn quick.
And you were by yourself.
Yeah.